Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. It's Monday, as ever, and we are here for another a post-weekend and pre-Cheltenham show. Over the next hour or so, we'll be picking the bones out of the weekend action and seeing whether that's going to impact anything at Cheltenham. We'll be looking at 4 races tonight, or admittedly, 1 or 2 of them might take a little bit longer in terms of what we get to talk about. We've got the Ballymore, we've got the Turners, we've got the Mayor's Chase, and the big one as well, the Gold Cup. And we'll be talking to Joseph O'Brien as well. I recorded an interview with him an hour or so ago about his runners. Obviously a little bit disappointed after Saturday afternoon's exploits at Ascot, but he's got plenty of chances at the spring festivals and hopefully an insight or 2 there. And of course, we get to talk to you at home, as ever. This is live and interactive right now, so get involved on that chat. And keep those comments coming in the comment section as well throughout the week. The good thing about the Monday night shows is the information pretty much lasts for the entirety of the week, so you can get involved as the next few days go on. But for those of you who are watching at home tonight, good evening to everyone, including VSG and Richard Duff, who says, apparently I am with a quick wit like a slightly better sighted Louis Theroux, and your tip sharper than an ancient Roman archer's. Thank you, Richard Duff. That's the most beautiful intro anyone's ever written about anyone ever. None of it's true.
Couldn't have been that sharp, them tips back then, though, could they?
Yeah, they were. They lasted once. They were gone.
Stone, didn't they?
Yeah, they weren't. Nothing modern about that, Richard Duff. But thank you, a better sighted Louis Theroux. Yeah, he's on the list of terrible lookalikes. Paul Kealy in the studio tonight. You got any terrible lookalikes, Keels?
Can't think of any, to be honest.
I think the chat will probably come up with some.
Some girl once told me I look like the big fat bloke who gets eaten by dinosaurs in the first Jurassic Park.
Oh, wow.
In the truck.
That's really nice.
That was lovely, yeah.
That's really nice. He was in Seinfeld as well.
I thought my chance had gone then.
Yeah. But was that a chat-up line, was it?
Well, it was hers.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Well, there's one lookalike for you for Paul Kealy. Tom Segal is at home. Tom, any lookalikes for you over the years?
Yeah, I was once called Gerard Depardieu. That was fun, wasn't it?
What?
I know. Well, geez, I look nothing like.
Yeah,
that's classic.
Never at any point have I thought Gerard Depardieu, but that's.
And Limbic Opic as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. I can see that a little bit, yeah. But it's not nice, but...
No, it's not, is it? But there we go. When you look at this, you really can't complain what it is for you.
No, but we've not got you on the show for your looks, Tom. It's what's in here that counts. So I hope you've got a few angles for us from the weekend's action.
Thanks, Ross. It's nice to know I'm here for my brain's got my looks. Yeah, loads of angles, if I can remember them.
Okay, well, we'll see if you can. And Simon Clare, any lookalikes for you?
Well, I remember on Derby Day 2008, someone came up to me and congratulated me on winning the Oaks the previous day with "Look Here" and thought I looked like Rafe Beckett.
All right, okay. I mean, that's certainly it's
viable.
Not as insulting as the other two we've had, is it?
Naturally, I said thank you and took full credit for it at the time. So I thought, well, why set him straight? So I've trained a classic winner.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, Simon. We haven't seen you for a while. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, in good form actually. Yes, I was. I think I was supposed to be on last week, but I had plane trouble, so Steve-O stepped in. So yeah, I'm glad to be back on the show. I think I'm back on Friday as well.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Monty 1979 says, Frank Butcher.
I can see that.
It's better than Pat Butcher.
I did once get a Robbie Coltrane as well, so it's a standard I'm at, I'm afraid.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this is a slippery slope we're going down, isn't it? We'll be looking ahead to some Cheltenham races and, like I said, looking back at the weekend's action as well, with Lembit Opik, Frank Butcher, and Rafe Beckett. But first. Like I said, I was delighted to be joined by Joseph O'Brien to go through his runners. He's got some big ones, of course, home by the Leaf, Akiadudari, Banbridge, Comfort Zone, plenty of big chances at Cheltenham. And here's what he had to say an hour or so ago about those runners. Now we're only a few weeks away from the Cheltenham Festival, of course. Monday nights, and we're concentrating on those horses that will no doubt be lining up at Prestbury Park. A special guest each week, and delighted to be joined by Joseph O'Brien this evening. First things first, hello Joseph, and thank you ever so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Now, I would have loved to start this interview by saying that probably your stable star over the jumps, Fakir D'Oudairies, had bolted up at Ascot on Saturday. Unfortunately, that wasn't necessarily the case. You ran into a resurgent Shishkin. You've had 48 hours to digest that result. How are you feeling? How has the horse come out of the race? And just what are your general thoughts on his performance on Saturday?
Yeah, he seems to have come out of the race well. I think that the drying ground, obviously, the emphasis was on speed at the weekend. But he's come out of the race well, and we're looking forward to the spring festivals with him.
Okay, and so like you said, you thought the conditions maybe just didn't play to his strengths because, of course, it was pretty testing when he won the race last year.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I suppose they were polar opposites as to when he won the race last year, but he still ran a good race. He was galloping on at the line, and he wasn't beaten out of sight. And Shishkin is obviously a champion. Right, so yeah, we were proud of his run, and like I say, we're looking forward to the spring festivals with him now.
And if you obviously go head to head again at Cheltenham, what do you have to do to beat him second time around?
Yeah, I suppose that decision will be made later in play. JP and Frank will discuss it and see what they'd like to do. Yeah, I mean, and at the weekend's running, it obviously would be tough for us to turn it around, but we'd love a bit of softer ground. Not that we're maybe going to get that in the spring, but that probably would get us a bit closer to Shishkin. But not taking anything away from him, he's a top horse, and we would like to see him back to his best.
Okay, lovely stuff. Let's go through a few of the other big chances, because you've got some fascinating entries, and I mean, it might get off to an absolute flyer, of course. High Definition in the Supreme, and a Supreme that's been thrown wide open by that result at Leopardstown. Of course, it was pretty eventful for High Definition as well. He jumped so beautifully on his first start over hurdles. Talk us through what happened, how he is, and what's the plan for the spring?
Yeah, he's come out of Leopardstown pretty well. He gave himself a bit of a cut in the race. He just overjumped the hurdle and stumbled at the back of it. Suppose they were going a good gallop, and his first time probably jumping at that speed, and just one of those things. So he's come out of that pretty well. He's back in full training, and all being well, he goes straight to the Supreme. Okay,
and obviously you don't get many that have placed form in Group 1 company going over the hurdles. What will be the challenges with him in turning him from that incredibly talented but a little bit quirky flat horse into a hurdler?
I probably a bit unfair to call him quirky. He was a pretty straightforward horse, and he used to always run positively and ran consistently well at the top level. I suppose the most challenging thing for him really at this stage is jumping experience. He never left the ground until he arrived to us in whatever it was, probably September, October. So that's the main challenge to a horse like him jumping. And to his credit, although he made a mistake the last day, he seems to have taken to it pretty well.
Okay, so percentage-wise, what are we looking at for the Supreme potentially of him lining up?
All being well, he'll line up.
Okay, great stuff. And we've got. I was going to say you might have a cracking chance in the second race as well, but the betting suggesting that maybe Banbridge might be going back up in trip for the Turners. But he's obviously been a cracking servant for you over the past couple of seasons. He loves Cheltenham, and he seems to relish racing at the highest level. How decided are you whether it's Arkle or Turners?
Yeah, I think it's most likely that he would go to the Turners. He does have entries in both races, and we will keep our options open. But just having discussed things with Ronnie since Leopardstown, I think the Turners is probably the logical way to go with him. But like I say, we will keep our options open, and he's an exciting horse, heading there for sure.
Again, he's likely to come up against old rivals again, in particular Mighty Potter. But like you were saying about Fakir D'Oudairies, going to be very different conditions probably than when they met. Will that play to the strengths of Banbridge, and what else does he have up his sleeve that means he could turn that form around?
Yeah, I think it will. I think there's no doubt that better ground will suit us for sure. And I would be looking forward to a rematch with him, although he does look an extremely talented horse. It was a serious performance in Leopardstown. But like I say, we would be looking forward to meeting him again.
And I mean, over the past few years, it's been a pretty small field in the Turners as well. Does that benefit him? Because he did seem to get taken a little bit out of his comfort zone with that strong pace last time out. But of course, he did win impressively in a single-figure field around Cheltenham at the back end of last year.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine on a bigger field or a smaller field. He's a pretty straightforward horse, and he likes to get on with things if there isn't pace on, and he's happy to follow if there is pace on. So I think he's a pretty straightforward horse, and I don't see any issues with a smaller field or a bigger field, whichever way it worked out.
Okay, and on Thursday, of course, you've got a big chance in the Stayers with Home by the Lee, who I think has taken a few people by surprise. But of course, he ran a bit of a cracker last year in the race, and I mean, you've had him for a few years now, and he's won bumpers, he's won hurdles, he's won 3 times over fences. He's clearly very talented. But what's changed this year that's meant it's all come together?
Yeah, he has been as you say, a talented a horse for a number of years, but it does look as though he's improved, 5 or 6 lengths this season. I think he was beaten 7 lengths or maybe 6 lengths in the World Hurl last year, or the Stayers Hurl. So I do think he has stepped up that much from last season. Whether he can go and win, I guess it remains to be seen. But he certainly is, a top level staying hurler here, and he's well worth a crack at it. And although the race has thrown up a couple of serious contenders in the last 6 weeks, I think we certainly are one of them.
Yeah, he's possibly going to come up against old rival again, Florian Porter. Last couple of seasons, everyone's kind of let Gavin Cromwell's charge do his own thing out in front. How do you get a horse like that beat without spoiling your own chance? Do you have any tactics for Home by the Lee, or is it just see how it unfolds on the day?
Well, JJ has a really good rapport with Home by the Lee, and he's not the simplest horse in the world to ride. He doesn't necessarily always travel very well through his races, so really tactics will be left up to JJ, and a lot will depend on how the race is panning out for him on the day.
Okay, yeah, a few more to mention then. Of course, you've had some talented juvenile hurdlers over the years as well, and Comfort Zone is certainly a new one in that bunch. He's only been beaten, of course, by Lossiemouth, and last couple of times, Joseph, the winning margin hasn't been particularly big, but he seems to pull out plenty under pressure, and I would say he's probably won the last couple at Chepstow and Cheltenham more snugly than the margin suggests. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, he's done nothing wrong for sure. He jumps and travels very well through his races. He likes to be delivered late, and I mean, in all fairness, Lossiemouth has looked really, really good, and she beat us well at Fairy House earlier in the year. But we have come and won 2 Grade 2 since then, and hopefully we can at least give her and whatever other top horses are in there a run for their money. And I mean, he's certainly well worth his shot in the race, and I think he'd go there with a live each way chance.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is pretty much the same question for every horse, isn't it? But I guess this is the frustrating thing a little bit about, we talk about the British National Hunt season a little bit perhaps, is that a lot of the top horses pick and choose their targets, but it feels like a lot of your horses have met the horses you're going to have to beat. So does that help when coming up against, say, Lossiemouth again with a horse like Comfort Zone?
Yes, well, I suppose we don't have a lot of choice, but we have dodged Lossiemouth in her last couple of starts, and we've gone and she's gone to Chepstow and Cheltenham. So we will have to meet her as well as a few others that we haven't met in Cheltenham. But that's the great thing about this time of year heading into the spring festivals, that all these top horses have to meet each other, and I mean that's what people are in the game for, and that's why everyone is looking forward to Cheltenham so much, is the big matchup. And the horses who people have fancied for the last few months are finally going to have to do the talking on the track.
Just three more to mention to you very quickly. One is Dawn Rising, who is entered in a couple of the novice hurdles. What's the plan for him?
Yeah, I think he's a likely runner in the Albert Bartlett. He ran very well in Navan. He ran a good race afterwards in Nice, and the plan is for him to run in the Albert Bartlett.
Okay, and San Salvador, who was won a pretty competitive race on New Year's Eve. Is there a handicap target for that one?
There is. His main target would be the Coral Cup. Should he get into the race, we think he will. He's come out of and come through his win at Punchestown well. He's owned by a Denis Mirabilis syndicate, and there's a great bunch of guys in there, and they're very much looking forward to having a runner in Cheltenham.
Okay, and the last one to mention, just see that Bella Scintilla's got an entry in the mare's novice. Fairly early days for her yet. What's the plan for the spring?
Yeah, she had a little hold up after her last run, so she's not guaranteed to make it back for Cheltenham. Like you say, she does have an entry. She's going to have a work next week, and that will decide whether we go there or whether we stick to something here in Ireland. But she's a smart filly, and we hope we'll get some further black type in the spring, but not guaranteed to go to Cheltenham just yet.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Now I'm going to let you go, Joseph. But before we do, if you had one wish for Cheltenham, what would it be?
Any winner will do me. I'd like to have a winner. I'd like to have a winner over the week, and we'd be very happy with that.
Okay, obviously, I mean, you did go. It took you all. You had to wait till the last race last year, pretty much. But even then, you had an impressive one. So best of luck, Joseph, and hopefully we can grant that wish for you, and we'll see you over these shores in spring.
Appreciate it. Thanks a million, lads.
There we go. Thanks to Joseph for joining us earlier on. And like I said, yeah, he did have to wait till the last race at Cheltenham last year before getting a winner, which is probably the only thing that Paul Kealy and Joseph O'Brien have in common.
We both wear glasses.
That is true. That is true. Let's not get into lookalikes for Joseph O'Brien, or we might never get anyone back on. But yeah, he's got a few. He's got a few cracking chances. Banbridge home by the Lee, obviously. Back here at the weekend, we'll talk about him in just a second, but he's got a genuine 4 or 5 real live contenders.
Yeah, absolutely, and so he should have. I mean, he's got a big enough stable, big enough dual-purpose stable, isn't it? But yeah, he's obviously Banbridge was his winner last year. He's going to like the ground. We will get onto it at some point, I suppose. Yeah. Later on, but yeah, he's got some serious ammo.
Yes, indeed. Let's go back over the weekend then, because of course Joseph's stable star, essentially over the jumps, Fakir Doudaroo, was looking to win the Ascot Chase once again, but on faster ground and up against the resurgence Shishkin, who once again puts in a spectacular performance at Ascot, and suddenly from the forgotten horse who was potentially going to take over that 2-mile division to now being a very red-hot favourite for the Ryanair. He's back on the lips of plenty of punters as well, and there was lots more as well. Nigel Twiston-Davies had a good weekend, a couple of interesting angles from Ireland as well, potentially. But I'm going to come to you first, Tom, to talk about that Ascot Chase. A horse like Shishkin, of course. The thing is, when you get a horse who is so talented but has got the occasional bomb out on his profile, it seems to divide people into two very, very strong camps. And some people were saying, if he wins this, he's back to his best. And some people are saying, I wouldn't back him with stolen money. And what did you make of it with 48 hours to digest? I'm sure you've watched the replay back a couple of times. What did you make of that performance?
I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely superb. I don't know how anyone could say he wasn't superb. The time was good. The right horses were beating miles. What's not to like? What's not to like about it? The only question that needs to be answered is which race is he going to run in. I know he'll run in the Ryanair, but he shouldn't. He should run in the Gold Cup. He's a 9-year-old now, and the Gold Cup is the race that all owners and trainers should want to win. It's like saying, I'm not going for the Derby, I'll go for the Prince of Wales's, or I'll go to, you shouldn't do that. You should go for the main race. So I'd love him to go for the Gold Cup. He won't. He'll go for the Ryanair, and I think he'll win it.
Is there a potential that, given the lateness of his reappearance, that he might go Ryanair and then, for example, the bowl at Aintree and then properly test that stamina there?
Well, they might well do that. But he's 9 now. I mean, I was just writing a piece the other day for the Weekender. I think it's 25 years since a double-digit aged horse won the Gold Cup, called Dawn, back in 1998. It's asking a lot for him to win it next year. You get one shot at these things. He looked really good on Saturday. I'd run him out. I know Keels wouldn't. I think Keels was backed him for the Ryanair. And what a great spot that was.
I think it was on last time.
I mean, to be honest,
the Ryanair and
yeah, well, to be honest, if he was mine, I'd run him in the Gold Cup. I'd just like to find out. I'm not going to say that I blame them for not running him in the Ryanair, because it's there and it's, he's a short price favourite, and look, outside
it's an open goal for him
on what he's done and what's likely to run outside of Constitution Hill. He should be the second shortest price favourite of the week, and he should be odds on, and odds against is a bit gimme really. What's going to be him?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a fair. I mean, I guess if it. Well, I was going to say if it rains, you might have a few challenges. But you were saying earlier it's not going to rain.
Well,
for the next
I mean,
6 months,
Cheltenham were just said. I mean, it was basically out today. They've had 3 millimetres of rain since January the 15th, which is quite remarkable. And the long-range forecast is not suggesting anything significant between now and Cheltenham. Now, we all know long-range forecasts can change very, very quickly. But let's not forget that last year it absolutely bucketed down on the Wednesday all day, and by the Friday it wasn't far off good again.
Yeah.
So if they get nothing during the meeting, by the Thursday, it's going to be perfect fast ground, and he just had the legs off all of them, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Sorry, Tom.
Sorry. Don't you think that might make them run in the Gold Cup? Why I think that is that the ground will be even quicker probably on Friday than it is on Thursday.
Yeah.
And be their one chance. They wouldn't never run in a Gold Cup if it was soft. I get.
It's not.
The ground. It's more likely they'll run in the Gold Cup, surely.
Yeah,
That's why I would do it.
Yeah, but they've all but ruled it out already, haven't they? Really, so.
It's one of those things, isn't it? That if it's on paper, it's easy to say, if it was mine, I'd run him in the Gold Cup. But if it was yours, you'd have years of emotional connections with the horse, and we wouldn't be taking this kind of detached view as analysts. So it is different. But what are we talking price movement wise, Simon? And it's obviously nice to have a genuine, a couple of red hot British favourites now.
Yeah, it is. Look, I mean, we went 7-4 immediately after the race. It was back 6-4, 5-4, now 6-5. Shishkin for the Ryanair. He's an 8-1 chance for the Gold Cup. It's non-runner, no bet, so that's priced as if he's in the race. I suppose, there's various ways you can look at it. I can understand the argument for going for the Gold Cup, but he's obviously a lot more likely to win the Ryanair than the Gold Cup. And last year's Cheltenham Festival was an absolute, sort of disaster for them. So it's very tempting. And now having got him back to go and beat the Irish. And, the next 6 or 7 in the betting are all Irish trained horses. So it's, it's nice to have a British trained favourite for one of the big races. And off the back of that, we actually priced up a market. How many British trained championship winners will there be at the 5 big championship races this year at the festival? Remember, all 5 were won by Irish trainers last year, which really was, sort of the epitome of the domination that the Irish have had in recent years. The fact that not one of those big races was won by a British trainer. We actually make 2 winners the favourite. So 2 British trained winners, 11-8. Constitution Hill, obviously long odds on. Shishkin, a short price for the Ryanair. Reasonable contenders for the Gold Cup, you could argue, and contenders for the Champion Chase, actually, in Editor Gis and Edwardstone. So we make 5-2. Second favourite is 1 winner. And then 11-4 is 3 winners, which I think would be a welcome return if we could win the championship races 3-2 against the Irish and claim some moral high ground, or some not moral high ground, but at least some sort of success. But I mean, a whitewash is 14-1, and 5 winners for British trained winners is 8-1. So I suppose asking all 3 of you, if you had to put a gun to your head, which I would never do, how many British trained winners will there be of the big 5 race?
I mean, I'm just thinking what's the Constitution Hill Shishkin double on its own? About 11-10, even money, something like that? No, it would be a bit. What will that be? What would that be?
A bit bigger. As far as Shishkin's odds against it, isn't it?
Again? Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was a lot shorter.
So
I just do that. I just do that straight up. So 2.
2.
I'm going 2.
Paul?
I mean, yeah, you're 6-5. I mean, you might as well have that. You might as well have that double, and it doesn't matter if something else wins, you've lost.
Yeah,
It'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? I think it's impossible for me to see Shishkin or Constitution Hill getting beaten, to be honest. So I'm going to say 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
All right, tempted with 3.
Oh, how many more? Oh, sorry, go on.
Tom?
Go on, Tom.
5.
Yeah, 80 to 1. It is possible, isn't it? It's possible.
See, this is the thing is Tom's really...
Those hurdles are tough. Those hurdles are toughest one.
He's buying into this. There's a lot of chat though, Tom. Whenever we do this, that you have an anti-Irish coming over and taking all the Cheltenham races bias. And up till then, I've erred on the side of come on, guys. But 5, I think I'm starting to believe the comments.
I have spent more time watching Irish racing over my life than I have English. There couldn't be any further from the truth. But it can't be 5 because we can't win the stairs. I don't think. No. But
not unless Marie's Rock runs.
Sorry?
Not unless Marie's Rock runs.
Well, yeah, exactly. If Marie's Rock runs, it's not impossible, is it?
No.
No. Okay, but so you're still going 5. Okay, it's a bold shout.
80 to 1.
It's a bold shout. Oh, yeah, if Marie's Rock doesn't run, then what is it? Paisley Park? That's about it, isn't it?
It is Paisley Park.
But
Yeah.
you're only
Look, 4 at 12 to 1. If the British won 4 of the 5, they would consider that a big. It would be a Shishkin type recovery.
In terms of British challenges, though, we had a few throw down a challenge at the weekend. I think I might actually have a proper bet after Wincanton at the weekend. I like to move it absolutely bolted up in the Kingwell. An RPR of 165 he was given for that. Yanworth was sent off favourite for the champion hurdle of 164. I know he's being out of sight, but now I'm not suggesting he's going to beat Constitution Hill necessarily, but we said last week there's not going to be many runners off in that champion hurdle. And where else are they going to go? That 2.5 mile furlong round Cheltenham is absolutely perfect for the horse. And Keels, I mean, look, Constitution, he's still got to turn up and actually win the race.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't see, like I said, if Constitution Hill turns up, I fully expect him to win. But I like you. I mean, I like to move it each way at 33 straight after. Because I thought to myself, he's certainly not a big price to see off Vauban.
Yep.
And for as good as State Man's looked, he has just beat the same horses, hasn't he? And got a very easy time of it up front last time. So, and there's going to be next to nothing else. So I'm effectively getting 6.5 to 1 about him beating one of Vauban or State Man.
Yeah, and
which I think that's a big enough price, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And I know State Man obviously beat him last year, but that was very different. Big field, obviously on a different course as well, so it could be very different. What did you make of I like to move it at the weekend, Tom?
Well, funnily enough, I backed him too, but in the betting without, I backed him in the betting without Constitution Hill market. I backed him at 10 to 1 in that race without Constitution Hill. So, like Keels just alluded to, I think his form is very similar to State Man's. I think State Man will probably has much, he's probably got the X factor about him, and I think he'll probably finish second as well. But I don't think there's as much between him and. I like to move it as the market would suggest on what he did there. And if you throw out the Rel Keel run, he's won the Greatwood by 5.5 lengths off top weight, and he's won the Kingwell by 17 lengths in a good time. So, 2 miles strong pace. He's definitely up there. He's definitely in the mix.
Well, I mean, Glorian Fortune beat him narrowly last year in the Betfair Hurdle and went on to finish 4th in the Champion Hurdle, didn't he? And I like to move. It's now improved past that, and he's a better horse than that performance. So I really don't think he's that far off.
No, the old timers, Keels and me, will remember Kyber Kim for Nigel Twiston Davis finishing second in a champion hurdle to Binocular. He'd won the Greatwood off top weight too. I think Nigel said the other day he was as good as him. I thought 10 to 1 in the betting without market, perfectly reasonable value.
Yeah. He had another nice winner as well, Nigel. I thought in the shape of Super 6. I was impressed with that at Haydock. Of course, the Tizzards had a good weekend as well. Oscar Elite. They love a bit of action in the Reynoldstown. Simon, and that horse back to form just at the right time. Just at the right time, Simon, to have another crack at the Ultima.
Yeah, Oscar Elite. He was really, really impressive. I mean, I thought he was given a beautiful ride by Harry Cobden. I know it was a 3-runner race, but in the end, he was much the best. And he's a horse who always seems to come right in the spring. He's been placed in an Albert Bartlett. He's been placed in an Ultima last year. He's going to go for the Ultima again. He's 12 to 1. I think he's going to be by winning the Rails, he'll go up in the weights, get into the race, probably off a really nice weight, and I could see him running another absolute cracker, and he should go very close.
Was there anything else, Tom, from this weekend? Obviously, we had I thought Horterier was quite nice. She could have a chance in the Martin Pipe or the Coral Cup. Irish Hill might go for that as well, making your mind up. Bow Zenith, Fildor, some nice winners. I'm just not necessarily sure I'd be getting too carried away with much from this weekend. Was there anything on your list?
Not really, no. I mean, I'm always a bit wary of the Ascot meeting because it's normally a graveyard for Cheltenham Festival horses, but the ground was so different this year that I'll have another good look at it. Irish Hill was impressive. We got a brilliant rider. I thought Sam Reeve ran quite well in that race. He might come to stand down at the end of the season. Not sure he likes Cheltenham, but no, I'm with you. Not sure I'll be. There was too much that I will be on my Cheltenham radar.
Keels, before we move on to the...
I've got this beer on my bonnet about Petit Tonnerre. I think he's got a decent prize in him. I thought he shaped quite well in the handicap hurdle. Might get dropped a couple of pounds and go for the Coral Cup maybe.
Yeah, okay. Well, you get the feeling that maybe it's the season's just starting to warm up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he was there to do his best Saturday, but he just, that was because he got brought down in the Lanzarote hurdle. It was effectively his first run since November.
Yeah.
So I think he's entitled to come on for it.
Yeah.
And,
I guess the only other one who's a perennial eye catcher but was too friendly and who could go for the county, and he was fifth in the Fred Winter last year as well. Might not get up the hill again. He's another one of those horses, but he's clearly got a bit of ability, albeit could find trouble in a Buddhist monastery. Anyway, moving on, we've got 4 races to preview for the Cheltenham action coming up, and we're going to start off with the Ballymore, where we have Hermes Allen at 9-4 favourite. Ante-Post is 7-2, Goodland 4-1, Gaelic Warrior 5-1, Champ Kealy is 6-1, in the pocket 10s, Facile Vega 16s with Absolute Notions and bigger prices. The rest again, we're starting to do that dance with the novice hurdles to try and work out which horses are going to go for which races. And I think part of the reason why Hermes Allen is such a short price is because we know that he's going to go for this race. Ante-Post, of course, might well go for the Supreme. Gaelic Warriors entered in everything. But Hermes Allen won that Challow hurdle, of course, in incredibly impressive fashion. But how many times, Keels, have we said that about a horse? It turns up in the Ballymore and gets beaten. Well, the answer is 20.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't win it, do they? I mean, I think Forest Sun went from the Challow and won the Supreme Novices hurdle in about 1990, something like that. But yeah, the Challow, it does seem to have a bad record, doesn't it? I can't help but think that this is the one that's going to do it, though.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with him. Other like the other 2 recent Paul Nicholls horses that had won the Challow really impressively and came here. He's actually got Cheltenham form, hasn't he? And he handled the track and decent ground perfectly well, and flew up the hill. He just looks so good at Newbury. Horses keep coming out of it winning from wherever they finish, don't they, as well? Obviously, the runner-up won a listed race very easily at Sandown the other day, a mare's race. She's very good. And I think he just deserves it. I think the thing about Paul Nicholls is he don't think he ever sets his stall out to win novice hurdles at the Cheltenham Festival because it's all about chasers for him. Yeah. And they end up being better. And look at Brave Man's Game. He's now easily the best horse that ran in Bob Ollinger's Ballymore novices hurdle, isn't he? Yeah. But he just wasn't on the day. And hopefully this one, he's done it at Cheltenham. He doesn't mind good ground. He doesn't mind soft ground. He did it so easily last time. We don't really know how strong the form is in relation to how strong the Irish is, but I think it's very strong. And it's one of those. If you went back to the years of Denman, when Paul Nicholls was the all-conquering trainer and Willie Mullins wasn't the force he was now, this horse would be even money, wouldn't he? Like, you know what I mean? He'd be that short.
And beat by one of Noel Meads.
And beat by one of Noel Meads. Yeah, of course, yeah. So I mean, I hope he'll win. I think he probably win. I think he's very, very good. I do think Ante-Post is good. I'm still hoping against hope that he runs in the Supreme because I backed him for that. But he's probably
end up with a
here around
portfolio of horses in the wrong races.
I do it all the time, I promise you. I mean, I'm trying absolute chunks on Constitution Hill to win the Ballymore last year. So what do I know? But no, I think Ante-Post is very good. I think he's got a change of gear, and he'll be a threat. But I think he's still got to up his game a little bit to reach Hermes Allen's form. Gaelic Warrior's got no chance whatsoever. He's allaying a meeting for me for a place wherever he goes. He just goes out to his right all the time. He's very talented, but I cannot have him.
You think he's going to get found out?
He's going to get found. He's going to have to go around the outside all the time, otherwise he's going to be bumping into horses. He's going to get found out at Grade 1 level. Goodland's pretty decent, I think. Got his own way in front to a certain extent, I think, in Ireland. But no, I think it's all about that race of Goodland. I didn't think it looked very good on paper going in. as it usually is, as it often has. So it's Hermes Allen for me. I think he'll win.
Okay, Hermes Allen is a 9-4 shot. Impere Pass is 7-2. Speaking of Denman, Nicanor, of course, was one of the few 5-year-olds who've won this race. Impere Pass is also a 5-year-old. You have to go back to the new one to find the last 5-year-old. But it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? This race, and it's starting. This is what happening at Cheltenham with novice hurdles and the novice chasers. Tom, is that there's so many options for these horses now. You got the Grade 1 horses going for handicaps over fences and over hurdles. So suddenly they start to thin out. And like Kealy said, the Ballymore of 10, 15 years ago is not the Ballymore of 2023.
No, of course it's not. There's so few, all the horses with so few stables that it can't be, can it? So, I like Hermes Allen very much. The form keeps getting. Marble Sands won the Sydney Banks. The other Jamie Snowden horse came out and won at Doncaster or Newcastle somewhere. I think the form's very good. I just prefer Impero Pass. I think he's an absolute rock-solid certainty to run in this race. Sorry, Kealy.
Yeah, I'm sort of accepting that fact, unfortunately.
Got Hunter's Yarn that's going to run in the Supreme that won't go a yard over 2 miles, I don't think. So I think they'll split him up and Impero Pass come here. I think he's a massive danger because I think he's a brilliant jumper. I've just been so impressed with his athleticism. I think he'll stay the trip, no problem. I think he's a massive danger to Hermes Allen, and I'm not giving up on Gaelic Warrior because I think I'm worried about that sort of jumping right. I really aren't. I think he'll jump right-handed at the last, but Portout or whoever rides him will have him right on the inside. He won't lose any ground. Trying out to step up in trip. He's very, very classy. He's very classy. He has got to have a chance in this too. Personally, I prefer Impero Pass of the 2 William Mullins horses, and I just prefer him over Hermes Allen.
I mean, you've said of the 2 Willie Mullins horses, it's not 2 Willie Mullins horses, is it? Because if there's any race where I like a kind of a sort of a keen-going, quirky runner, it is this race. And is Champ Kealy not got a chance in here? I know, again, he's got those form lines that aren't necessarily working out, and he was heavily beaten at Fairyhouse, but he's one of those horses that if he does kind of get into that rhythm and then he could dominate this from the front. I thought it wouldn't be the first time that had happened. You've had quirky horses. Envoy Allen barely settled for the entire race. So is he not a runner?
Louis Theroux, I am telling you that is rubbish. No chance.
All right, fair enough. Why?
I just don't think he's good enough. I think the form's not good enough. I think him beating the horse of Gordon Elliott's, can't remember its name, that was lapped in the 2-mile race at
Irish Point.
Irish Point, yeah.
Irish Point. I just don't think he's good enough. I really don't. He'll have to settle better. I think these horses are a totally different class to the ones he's been running against. And when he's the third string on the day, I think he'll get double the price.
Okay, fair enough. I'll wait till then. And if he wins, I'll have a weird weekend. Okay. Hermes Allen 9-4 favourite then for the Ballymore. That shallow hurdle stat there. I guess stats are there to be broken, aren't they, Simon? But the thing is, it's another Nichols impressive shallow winner who's heading the betting end. The Irish battalions are lurking.
Oh God, yeah, they are. You're right. I mean, 8 of the last 9 winners of this race have been Irish trains. Just Ben Pauling stands alone in the last 9 years as a British train winner. And all the horses in behind Hermes Allen in the betting are all Irish trained. So it really is Paul Nichols versus Ireland. And as you say, the form of the Challow looked strong. The Coral Challow was this year. We sponsored it, which was great. But the ground will be very different at Cheltenham than it was at Newbury. I think from a bookmaker point, you've got to be willing to take on a favourite under those circumstances. I watched an interview with Willie Mullins, who was very certain that Impero Pass was going to be the Ballymore runner, given he's got 3. Is it Ilete for Sylvega and Hunter's Yarn all going for the Supreme? Gaelic won at Warrior. His line was, this would be the most likely race for him, and also Champ Kealy as well. So Willie Mullins just got strong lineups wherever he goes. A couple of bits with non-runners, no bet, all racing at Cheltenham from today, including this one, obviously. So in many ways, where the horses run doesn't matter so much. It's just about trying to grab value if you can spot it. And we have got an in the know special here. Either Hermes Allen or Impere Passe, terrible French pronunciation, to win by over 3.5 lengths is 130 from 5-2. And given that 5 of the last 10 winners of this race have won by 3 3/4 lengths or more, there's probably an even money chance for the winner to win by that distance. So if you fancy one of the front two to win it by over 3.5 lengths, it's 100 to 30.
Okay, there we go. And do you have a price for Keels for them to win another race that they won't run in by that distance, potentially?
Long odds on.
Take full advantage.
Wherever he's backed it, they'll win elsewhere.
Okay, so Ballymore currently at this moment, Keels.
Yeah, I'm full of hope that Hermes Allen will finally put Paul Nicholls' name on the roll of honour for the Ballymore, which he's never won.
Yeah. Okay, Tom.
Just marginally prefer Empere Pass.
Okay, I'll back Champ Kealy each way at 12 to 1 on the day. And Simon?
I'd like Hermes Allen to win. I think, listen, I've got an Irish passport. I've got huge respect for the likes of Willie Mullins, and he's done extraordinary stuff in recent years. But I can't help but want to see a bit of a rebalancing. So in this kind of race, I think to see an English-trained favourite win would be a good thing. But as a bookie, we're probably laying it all day and happy to see it get beat. So I'm on the fence.
Okay, there you go. Thanks, Simon. Okay, there you go. I've heard we're betting your head and your heart, but not your postcode necessarily. But okay, let's move on then to the Turners, where we have a short price favourite trained by Gordon Elliott, who cannot stop winning in the shape of Mighty Potter, who is 11 to 8 favourite here. Appreciated is 5 to 1 with Banbridge, El Fabiolo 7, Sir Gerhard 8 to 1, James de Burley 10 to 1, Stage Star 10 to 1, Journey with Me 10 to 1, and bigger prices. The rest of you at bigger prices do have squeaks. Balco Coastal, of course, will most likely go. Bron might turn up for Willie Mullins as well, and I was quite interested by the price of Adamantly Chosen. Oh, he could be an interesting each-way play at very big odds, but start to wonder why he's trebled in price. Maybe he's not going to turn up. But Tom, Mighty Potter keeps on winning. He wins on good ground. He wins on terrible ground. He's proven his stamina. He's proven his class. I'm not going to say. I don't want to say professional, but he's got a little bit of. He looks about a little bit, doesn't he? He's clearly got a bit of, a few thoughts as well as that ability, and he does, of course, have a poor run here at the track last season. But 11 to 8. What are you feeling?
Way too short for me, Ross.
Yep.
Way too short. I just think this is much. When he was sort of 11 to 8 before everyone knew Appreciate It and Banbridge, and maybe Sir Gerhard might even turn up here. I think when it will come the day, if you've got Appreciate Banbridge, Sir Gerhard and Stage Star in there, I'm not sure you want to be sitting there with an 11. You wouldn't be too confident with an 11 to 8 docket in your pocket. I don't think. I mean, there's plenty that think he's the good thing of the meeting, and they might be right. I mean, he's won 4 Grade 1s, but as you say, he never went a yard at Cheltenham last year. Now there were excuses for a lot of Gordon Elliott horses, and I wouldn't necessarily rule him out. Think that's certain to be a negative, but it is there. It is in the form book. He was pulled up in his only run at Cheltenham. It was by far his worst ever run. Could have been a load of factors. Could have been the travelling. It could have been loads of different things. But that is in the form book. And I think he's priced up before we, I think that 2-mile race at the Dublin Racing Festival was by far the best novice chase run this season, won by El Fabiolo. And Appreciation and Banbridge just looked like they wanted further. It looked like they'll come into their own when they get over 2.5 miles. So I think it's much more open than the market would suggest. I do like Stage Star for Paul Nicholls. I think he's a brilliant jumper. I thought he was supremely superb last time. I think he's got to step up, obviously, get to the Irish horses. But I think any horse can jump. It's a Grade 1 winning hurdle. I know it was the shallow hurdle, but he did win it. And I think he's got a chance. He's a typical Paul Nicholls horse that's getting better. But I think Banbridge at the prices would be my choice. I just think he's going to, he's 2 from 2 at Cheltenham, the former Cheltenham Festival winner. He won't mind the good ground because I'm expecting it to be that. In fact, he'll relish it. And I think at the prices, I'd rather be with him than Mighty Potter at 11 to 8.
Yeah, and again, it's not just Paul Kealy that's got the magic touch as well as 20 to 1 about Banbridge for the Arkle. Is probably my only proper Ante-Post bet this season, and I knew it was going to happen, as I mentioned to Joseph earlier on, that he was going to confirm they're most likely to go for the Turners, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. But yeah, he looks absolutely spot on for this race. But again, it might well be another race where not many turn up as well.
Well, this is it. I was going to say, if you had an each-way double in the Arkle on Dysart Dynamo and Banbridge in this race, you will turn up on the day and you'll probably only have 2 or 3 horses to beat just to hit the first 3.
Throw in a light to move it as well.
Throw in I like to. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, throw in I like to move it. But yeah, I can. The case for Mighty Potter, it makes itself, doesn't it? He has looked really, really good, and the ground wasn't that soft last time, so he's proved that he can handle decent ground as well. Last year he ran into a rail on the way down and had to get checked out by the vet first to be allowed to go, and then of course he made that horrible mistake and was pulled up. So I don't think you can read that much into it. He's definitely the one to beat. But Banbridge was beaten a fair way by him a couple of starts ago in Ireland, but on soft ground. He's the one who's 2 from 2 at Cheltenham. And he won the Arc, which I looked really good. Maybe flatter because we know Tommy's Oscar was runner-up, and he's probably a flat track horse. But even so, he jumped really well and he quickened away. And he's got, he showed at Leopardstown, I think, that he isn't fast enough for 2 miles on decent ground, and he's going to get it. He's going to get the right trip. Almost certainly the right going, and I can't see him finishing out the frame. Whether he's good enough to beat Mighty Potter, I don't know, but I'm quite happy to back against Mighty Potter at that sort of price, around 5 to 1. Appreciate it. I wasn't that convinced. I didn't think he looked anywhere near as much of a horse who wanted further as Banbridge did. I mean, to me, he didn't have any problem going the speed early doors in the Irish Arkle, and he just got tired late on. So
he just looks like a horse who's just missed every year. He's just missed the boat a little bit.
Of course. A little bit. Since he, I mean, he's had his issues, isn't he? I mean, obviously,
it's not his fault. No,
he won his Supreme. He only managed a 1 run in the Champion Hurdle last year.
9-year-olds in Grade 1 Novice Chasers, by the way, 7 from 149 at Cheltenham, 0 from 31.
Yeah, how many would have been shorter than 5s?
I'll have a look.
Come on.
There's been a couple of Whisper went off fairly short. He finished second to.
Yeah, he only got beaten nose. He
only
got beaten nose. So you can look at these stats and think, hang on a minute, how many of these?
I didn't save the system, so.
Age, and not that many would try, will they?
No.
But, he's a good horse, but I much prefer Banbridge over him. Like Tom, I like Stage Start. I wonder whether we get. Is it entries for the handicaps today?
Tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, tomorrow.
They're tomorrow. Right, okay.
Someone did tweet me earlier saying you should have moved this to Tuesday night because it would have been good to give you that.
Absolutely, yeah. Stage Start, I mean, he could get an entry in the plate, couldn't he? Simply the bets, I think, went up something like 10 and then went and won the plate as a very well backed favourite after winning that race. And he could probably win again off 152. It depends on what Paul Nicholls wants to do, doesn't it, really? So I have that little worry, but I like him as well. He's obviously, I thought he was a bit soft when he got beaten Newby, but he looked anything but that the other day. So, but no, it's Banbridge for me.
Okay. Just one more to it. Like I said, I did think it was a little bit big. What price is adamantly chosen here at Simon? Because I know he's been beaten by your Mighty Potters and your Jerry Colomas this season, but he's another one who's much better on quicker ground. And Willie Mullins, there's only 1 year that he hasn't run multiple horses in this, and that was when Yorkhill was sent off a very short price favourite. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't take his chance. I know he will obviously have handicap options as well, but the handicap options that he will have aren't really races that Willie Mullins targets. So I can't.
Also already rated 152.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's 100. And it's 33 to 1, and it's non-runner, no bet from today as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point. I mean, this is where, with non-runner, no bet, sometimes the traders will be clearly looking at horses at multiple entries and trying to price them as if they were going to run, but there will be horses you suddenly spot which kind of might be shorter if it's confirmed that this is the target, and that could be one of them. Particularly given the likely size of the field, this is a race that could easily fall apart in terms of runners. And could be a sort of 7-8 runner race come the day. I mean, it was a 4 runner race, was it last year? So, if he's a runner and it's non-runner bet anyway, and you think he's got a chance, then maybe he's one to have a look at. I mean, the one thing's funny, I've gone round and round in circles with this race because obviously you're trying to get the favourite beat. But Mighty Potter was very impressive, beating Banbridge into 3rd place in the Drinmore. You forgive him that Supreme run. His only other defeat was an eye-catching one when everyone took him out as the horse to take from the novice hurdle. He came 3rd into Statuaire, and he just looked really good. And, he looked better than Banbridge on that Drinmore run. So Gerhard, Willie Mullins does seem to be saying Brown Advisory, which is a strange one on the basis they'll go slower given his inexperience. Yet, a Ballymore winner you think would be crying out to run in the Turners, wouldn't you? And do they go that much slower in the Brown Advisory? I don't know. And so, but maybe it's to keep him away from Appreciate It because they're 2 of his kind of headline previous Cheltenham Festival winners. It's very hard. I think
if we're honest, Simon, if we start to get into the psychology of Willie Mullins' decisions, we'll have to have a separate show.
I know, but it's so hard because you're trying to work out. I know it's difficult at this stage, and clearly you can wait. And Stage Star, is he good enough? He's a 10-1 chance. Everything in front of him, got 6 horses in front of him in the betting, all eyes trained. So I think Mighty Pot is going to be quite hard to beat. But you may well get bigger than 11-8 near the day, especially if the sort of Willie Mullins battalions stand their ground and line up against him.
Okay then. Right now, though, I think I'd have a tickle on Adamantly Chosen at 33s each way with that non-run and no bet. Paul Kealy?
Yeah, Banbridge for me.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, Banbridge over here.
Yeah, lovely stuff. And the thing is, I'm gonna have to back him on. But it's just hard, isn't it, when you backed him at a bigger price for another race to switch that bit of your brain off that's bitter and frustrated about it. And a quick price boost, Simon, before we move on.
Yeah, so Mighty Potter, who I think is a worthy favourite, he's 4-1 to win by over 3.5 lengths. So to win and be dominant doing so.
Okay, Mighty Potter and the dominant victory in the Turners, as the unpublished book. The Mayor's Chase is our next race. We're going to rattle through this one and then have a look at the Gold Cup, and it shouldn't take too long because, again, this is another race where there's probably not too many who are going to line up, and if they do line up, there's not too many who are going to actually be able to win. But it is 13-8, the pair, Allegory, Devassi and Impervious. It's 8-1 Jeremy's Flame for the Cromwell team. Magic Days, if she does run, will certainly be the pace. The race is 10-1. Galli de Lito is 16s, but Dan Skelton said it'd have to be a torrential downpour for her to line up in this. Zambella 16s, Ellie May 20s would Tell Me Something Girl, and bigger prices the rest. Paul Kealy, you were watching replays on the Aquidia website earlier on
France Gallop,
sorry, to see whether Allegory Devassi was going to be handling these fences around.
Well, she's only run right-handed tracks for Willie Mullins. 2 over hurdles, 2 over fences. She's jumped right both times over fences, markedly so last time at Thurles. So a little bit of a worry. So I had a look at her last run at Altoy, and she went right again. In fact, she was almost 2 horse widths wide of a horse that was alongside her and jumped into it at one of them passing the stand. So that's that's got to worry you. I mean, Tom says he's not worried about Gaelic Warrior, but that's hurdles. This is fences, and I think it's a big issue. I think she's the most talented horse in the race, but I wouldn't touch her with a barge pole at 13-8. I really wouldn't.
Especially as there's another horse who, Impervious's last 3 wins have been fantastic.
Been really good. Yeah, they've been really good. She's right up there. My slight issue, I'm always trying to find something at a bigger price. My slight issue with her is that all her 3 wins this season are heavy, yielding to soft, heavy. Yep. Last run last year on yielding, 5th of 17. Previous run on good, 5th of 7. So just a little bit of worry whether it's going to be Friday. Historically it'd be the fastest ground of the week. Not always the case, obviously, but with the forecast that we've got, just a little bit worried there. And I thought to myself, Jeremy's Frame, is she not a bad each way bet?
Is she going in the each way thievery multiple?
Well, it could be the each way thievery multiple. Well, I seem to remember you having one of these a couple of years ago and winning absolute fortunes by getting everything placed. So.
Well, because it was literally, a week and a half in advance. I thought, well, these are the horses that I fancy. I know they're all going to run in their races. They're half decent odds. Most of them went off a few points shorter, and they all got in the mix.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I think Zambella is pretty decent, isn't she? And she beat her easily at Huntingdon, didn't she? In January, on good to soft going. And I think 8-1. I think that's a good price.
Okay. Yeah. Jeremy's Flame each way then at 8-1 against the front 2 in the betting. Tom, your views on the Mayor's Chase?
Not very long, because I agree with everything Keel said about Allegory Devassi. I think he's right. Chasing is much harder. It will be a small field. You won't be able, Paul Talon won't be able to bury her like you probably would on Gaelic Warrior up the inside, I think, and sort of like he did last year in the Poodles, where Gaelic Warrior seemed fine until the last. But this mare, I think, with only 5 or 6 runners, she'll be jumping outright. So I'm with him against her at 13-8. I think Impervious is definitely the one to beat. He had a penalty last time against some really good horses, Journey with Me and Mendela Bruna.
Yep.
I thought she was really impressive the way she picked them up after that. She won with plenty in hand. I listened to Colin Murphy after that, and he suggested that she wasn't right last year, and that he was quite pleased with her run in the Mayor's Hurdle at Cheltenham, where she came 5th or 6th. think she's a lot better this year. He's had a perfect smooth run with her, so I think she's the one to read. But I agree, Jeremy's Flame is the each-way bet, has to be. That form at Huntington's very good. Gavin Cromwell has a brilliant record at Cheltenham. There's going to be 5 runners. It's going to get a strong pace with Magic Days in there, and she will pick up the pieces later. Whether she's good enough to beat Impervious, I doubt, but she can definitely hit the frame.
Okay, absolute thievery going on here, Simon. So we're going to have to put them all in a multiple, unless you've got a price boost to tempt us in.
Well, I have, but firstly, I mean, this is the division I sort of know more about than most, actually, just because Annie Mack obviously has been sort of bumping heads with the likes of Zambella and Pink Legend and co. Over the last year or two, and Jeremy's Flame was incredibly impressive. That race was a race Annie Mack would have run in, but for banging a leg, she was sadly retired with a wind issue not long after that. But Pink Legend was smashed out of sight behind Zambella and Jeremy's Flame, and came out and won a listed mares chase at Exeter a couple of weeks later. Jeremy's Flame ran in the 2-mile race over Christmas behind Blue Lord and Chaka Possois was in the race. And Jeremy's Flame, she led most of the way and just tired up the straight. But I mean, all her form is over 2-mile 2 to 2-mile 6. So the fact that she ran in such a hot 2-mile race against the males was to her credit. And everything else she's done this season has been fantastic. So I think she's a brilliant each-way bet at 8 to 1. And yeah, she's probably the one I'm sort of most excited about the 4 races we've looked at tonight. Sorry, and I will give you my in the know special.
There you go.
If you do like Impervious and Allegory Devassi and think they are by far the best in this race, it's first and second in either order, both of them to finish in the first 2, 7 to 4 from 5 to 4.
I mean, if we're playing reverse forecasts 3 weeks in advance, then we've all gone mad, haven't we? But,
just back Jeremy's Flame each way. That's the one. Jeremy's Flame each way.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on then to discuss the Gold Cup, where this year, well, we've got many people's banker of the meeting, an unexposed 7-year-old who, quite frankly, should have won his last 8, and the fact that he didn't is one of the most remarkable finishes of all time at a Cheltenham Festival, of course, in last year's Turners. It is, of course, the quote-unquote freak that is Galopin Des Champs at 6 to 4. A Plus Tard is 6 to 1. Noble Yates 7. Statler 8. Brave Man's Game 8. Shishkin 8. Protector at 10s. Ahoy Signor at 12 to 1. We've got Conflated, of course, who would have a good chance as well. Manella Indo might be back for another crack, and a couple others might run. Hewitt Sounds Russian could turn up as well. But it is in the betting, Tom, all about Galopin Des Champs. This race, of course, was the Willie Mullins' albatross for quite a few years, until an unexposed French-bred 7-year-old turned up and won 2 on the bounce. And it could well be happening again with Galopin Des Champs.
Absolutely. I mean, he's can't be on my radar because he's 6 to 4 favourite, and he's got questions to answer over the trip. I personally think he'll stay the trip. I personally think he's got an outstanding chance of winning. And people are saying he hasn't beaten good horses. I think he has. I think he's beaten Facu du Derry, he's beaten Statler Pointless, he's won an Irish Gold Cup. So I think everything's in line for him to run well. He's just too short a price for me. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that think he's a great price at 64, but not for me. I'd like to take him on. Don't really fancy Statler or Brave Man's Game, really. I don't know why I don't fancy Brave Man Game, really, because I think he might be a different horse this year. I just have it in the back of my mind that 3 miles, I can't get it out of my mind how badly he ran so many times at Cheltenham. So that's my worry for him. Protectorat will need soft ground, doesn't look like he's going to get it. Noble Yates probably might need softer ground if he's going to win. I could see him staying on into 3rd or 4th. A Plus Tard, we don't know what sort of form he's in. If he was in the form he was last year, then of course 6 to 1's a massive price, because I don't think I've ever seen a more impressive Gold Cup winner. But which A Plus Tard's going to turn up? Terrible preparation, clearly. A pulled up, not seen since, coming into a Gold Cup. Not a horse I can back. If Shishkin was to run, I would back him. Undoubtedly, I would back Shishkin at 8 or 10 to 1, non-runner, no bet, whatever it is. I think I probably have backed him non-runner, no bet already, in the hope that he runs here, because I think he and Galopin Des Champs and A Plus Tard stand out really as the 3 really top-class horses in the race. Brave Man's Game you can throw in round Kempton, whether you can throw him in Cheltenham would be my opinion. I personally think Galopin Des Champs is going to win. Would I back him at 6 to 4? No. I'm hoping Shishkin runs, because that will be the race of the decade for me. If it was Galopin Des Champs, A Plus Tard and Shishkin, running around for the Gold Cup on Friday, March the 18th, or whatever it is, I will be like a cat on hot tin roof. I'll be walking around this office of mine here, not knowing what to do myself for 4 hours beforehand. I would not be able to contain myself. But hopefully Galopin Des Champs will win, and hopefully Shishkin will run, because I'll back him.
Okay, I'm sure there's plenty to do outside, Tom, if you ever fancy it. But Galopin Des Champs 64. I mean, the difference between this race and what the other races we talked about, and a lot of other races, is you're looking at this and you're thinking there's a high possibility that you're going to get Galopin, A Plus Tard, Noble Yates, Statler, Brave Man's Game, Protectorat, Ahoy Signor, Conflated, Manelarindo, Hewitt, maybe Sounds Russian. We're looking at a lot of races, and especially races that Galopin Des Champs were in it as well, where you're going up against 4 or 5 rivals.
Yeah, the other thing about this race is, apart from Manila Indo, all the main fancies are under the age of 10.
Yep.
Apart from A Plus Tard, almost every one of them goes in there having won a career best this season.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's a really warm race, and I'm not denying whatsoever that Galopin Des Champs deserves to be fav, and wouldn't surprise me if he wins. He's by far the most exciting horse in the race, but wow, there's some good horses in there, and they've got, you know, I think he's got to have a crack at a couple of bigger prices who've got decent form. I mean, Brave Man's Game's form's every single bit as good as Galopin Des Champs, and they're different prices because everyone says he doesn't handle Cheltenham. Now, the evidence of that is one run, when his Racing Post rating was £3 below his previous best, just £3. He was third favourite for a Ballymore and finished third. You know what I mean? It's not horrific. The only horrific run of his actual life was last year at Aintree.
Yep.
And that's the only one really bad run. That third wasn't that bad. His second to a hoisted door afterwards wasn't that bad. You know,
think about Aintree last year as well. He'd had like 5 runs that season as well. He'd had a long season.
He's been kept very fresh. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I've still backed a couple of others instead. You know.
It's always a good game for us.
Yeah, it's a good game for us, so I'm not going to back. I backed Protectorate straight after the Cotswold Chase because he went out to 20s, and I just thought that's a daft price for the form he showed when he won the Betfair Chase at Haydock. And you've got to remember that last year's winner, A Plus Tard, got chinned at odds on in his prep. Manila Indo got beat in his prep the year before. It does happen. And Protectorate had been third last year. He'd shown that he was miles better. I would want the ground a little bit softer, but it certainly wasn't soft ground at the Betfair Chase. The winning time tells you it was far nearer good than it was soft that day. So he can handle it. And the other one I backed is Conflated. I just think he's been completely ignored.
Yeah, he was the one I was going to ask you about, because he's done 170 at Leopardstown his last couple of starts. He was, he would have finished probably second to Allaho last year, and he's unexposed in these kind of races.
He's massively unexposed. He's run 4 times at 3 miles in his life. He's won 2 races very easily at Leopardstown, the Savills last year, the Irish Gold Cup this. The Down Royal race was no good to him. He was third to Envoy Allen because he doesn't want to go right-handed. And his only other run, he was a length down on Clanders Oboe, crossing the line in the bowl at Aintree last year, and he was 6 tenths down at the last, and that's how well he was finishing.
And that came off the back of the fall at Cheltenham.
Yeah, and that came off a heavy fall at Cheltenham when he'd been absolutely rushed off his feet all the way round. And double figure price, I think, for a horse that comes in here off a career best 5-length win in the Savills is. It's just daft to me. But it does show how strong the race is.
Yep.
But he's the wrong place in the market against some of these. I mean, I think Statler has an awful lot more to find than Conflated does.
Yeah.
But by a big way. And he's the same price as Brave Man's Game. And what rating has Statler got? 163, is it?
Yeah.
If they ran in a handicap, Brave Man's Game would be giving him £9. So I think he's a terrible price. He has obviously won at Cheltenham.
Yeah. The thing about Statler is, again, there's only a couple of times I think we've seen him proper, foot down, pedal to the metal, the best that he can show. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for a Gold Cup runner, is it?
No,
absolutely.
Absolutely. You do want to peak for the race, and we do know he's going to stay. And that race last time was probably no good to him whatsoever because they went an absolute crawl. I mean, I think wasn't it the fastest finish at a meeting or something ridiculous like that. He got a top speed figure of 31. For a Grade 1 chase. So, it goes to show it wasn't a test of stamina by any stretch of the imagination. So, while Galopin Des Champs showed he got 3 mile there, a lot of horses that wouldn't get 3 mile probably would have got it as well, and it was really served to sort of outpace Statler, who actually came back to get second place on the run, didn't he? Having been outpaced and looked like he was going to finish 4th at one point. So he's game and he does stay, but on what he's done, I think he's a little bit underpriced.
Okay, there you go. Plenty.
We haven't mentioned a Hoist Senor either, by the way.
No, we haven't mentioned a Hoist Senor. Noble Yates, we haven't mentioned either.
Grand National winner, no race. You know, a Hoist Senor has never run a bad race in the spring.
Yeah.
You know, it seems to get better with racing. When he's good, he's very good.
Yeah.
And what I liked about him last time as well is that he didn't just get into that rhythm and grind them into submission. He had to kind of switch to plan B a bit and would even more impressively.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fascinating Gold Cup. Despite the fact that Galloping Deschamps is a 6-4 shot here, Simon, we could have a double figure field, and quite frankly, the outsider of the lot could still be Grade 1 quality.
Yeah, I think you've set up really well. I think it's kind of crazy almost that he's that short. I mean, the last time there was a horse that short was Bobsworth in 2014. He was beaten at 6-4 by Lord Windermere. When you think of all the, been some really deep fields since. Abu Photo was actually one of the shortest price favourites at 9-4. When he got beat by Vanilla Endo, and Don Cassatt won at 9-4 as favourite. So, Galloping Deschamps is a very short price favourite, and yet you can make case for so many high quality horses who are going to run the race. Abu you've got to take on. I can't remember the last time a horse was pulled up over 100 days ago, won a Gold Cup. Probably never happened. It'd be amazing training performance if he did. And I've looked at the things like Brave Man's Game. I spoke to Paul Nicholls shortly before the Ladbrokes King George, and he is a bullish trainer, but he said he had never had Brave Man's Game as good and as well as he did going into that race, and obviously he won in fine fashion. So it'll be interesting to see what the vibes are leading up to the Gold Cup. And on this better ground, reminds you of Kicking King, that doubt over stamina when he won at King George came out, and it was very good ground the day when Kicking King travelled beautifully through the race and won. And the other horse, look, he's not going to. The 10-year-old stats say he's not going to win, but Vanilla Indo's form at Cheltenham remains fantastic, isn't it? 2 wins, 2 seconds at 4 Cheltenham Festival, second last year. He is in form. He did win, albeit a battling effort over Statler, but we know he's better at Cheltenham. I could see him running into a place. And look, if there's lots of runners, he could be 4 places come the day. But at 16-1, even now, I just thought Manila Indo, he's an absolute Cheltenham standing dish. Whether he can win, I don't know, but I bet he's going to be very close.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon. And the last time a horse had more than 100 days off and was pulled up on his last start and ran in a Gold Cup, it was Syrium in 2009.
How do you find this stuff so quickly? Oh my God!
I just I've got nothing else to do. But Paul Murphy and Keith Mercer sent off 300-1 behind Corto Stardem and an Exotic Dancer. So a very different profile. Right now, what would you back for the Gold Cup, Tom?
Well, I've backed Shishkin, but I don't think I'm not running no bets, so I don't think he'll run. I've backed Noble Yates, but I'm worried about the ground. I won't back Galloping Deschamps because he's far too short. At the moment, I don't know, to be honest, what I'll back on the day. I think you could make a case for loads, as Keels has quite eloquently pointed out. So, at the moment, I'm hoping Shishkin runs.
Okay, there we go. And Keels, you've backed two?
Yeah, I've backed a couple, Protector and Conflated. I do think that now, with the ground as it's going to be, Conflated is the one that just looks the wrong price for me.
Okay, and Simon, what wins the Gold Cup?
I like Brave Man's Game. I often back the King George winner for the Gold Cup. It's probably been a while. I haven't won back 2 minutes ago. I mean, it reminds me of Kicking King, really. Kicking King was probably my best Ante-Post winner of the Gold Cup. So I had a good go on Brave Man's Game to silence the doubters, to use a Paul Nicholls phrase. But the In the Know special, Galloping Deschamps to win the Gold Cup by over 4.5 lengths is 9-2 from 7-2. So if you think he's going to win well and destroy the field, you get 9-2 Galloping Deschamps by over 4.5.
Okay, there you go. That's the Gold Cup for you. Then we're going to have to wrap this up pretty quickly. But coming up this week, there's plenty, isn't there? Not sure we're going to get much Cheltenham clues, but we've got a cracking day at Kempton, of course, Dovecote, Adonis, the Pendle, plenty of Coral sponsored races as well. Decent horses came out of that last year. The Bobby Joe Chase, the Ida, and National Spirit as well. Plenty going on. Before we go, very quickly, Tom, anything we should look out for this week?
I had a quick look at the Kempton race, the Newcastle race, and I thought that the old boy Sam's Adventure might go well, the former winner of it, down the bottom of the weights. I just thought he looked like he was coming back. I know he's 11-year-old, but I don't mind them so much in these marathon chases, and just thought that Kitty's Light probably going to win. She can eat and whack a fence from time to time, so maybe Sam's Adventure in the Ida.
Okay, Keels?
Thanks, Tom, for spoiling my Weekender copy tonight. I'm not
writing it for you.
I'm not giving any more away because I don't want to ruin the prices, if that's all right.
Okay. Are they going for the race?
No idea.
Okay, good. Simon, anything? Obviously, like you said, we've got a big Saturday.
Yeah, no, Coral Gold Cup, Coral Trophy, I should say, on Saturday at Kempton. 150 grand prize money for the second year running. Got a strong field. I thought the Christian Williams pair, I think Captain All might run again, possibly, having won so impressively at Ascot. And Kitty's Light looks well handicapped as well. And Killer came to the Joe Tizard team. I think they're quite bullish. He won, obviously, a course of distance last time out. And I think they're hoping he'll go very well again. But looks a deep field and looking forward to it. It's going to be a good Saturday. Get down there.
Yes, okay. We'll be here on Friday night to preview that. Thank you to everyone for watching tonight. Thank you. And I tried to read some comments, but honestly, I don't think anyone's been listening to a word we're saying because everyone's spent the last 65 minutes arguing with each other. Some of the insults have been creative.
Yeah, calm down, lads, will you? It's talking about racing.
I know, and it's 3 weeks away. You'll have a heart attack by the time the Supreme jumps off. But anyway, it's a game of opinions, and apparently a lot of yours begin with obscenities. So thanks everyone for watching at home. We'll be back on Friday night to preview a big Saturday. I hope the rest of your week goes wonderfully. Good night.